to Badger Beer Hour, where we take an hour a month to talk about the culture and the business of beer in Wisconsin. I'm here with Landon Cherney and Chris Strausen, the Beer Baron. Hello, guys.
Good, man.
What's up, fellas?
Well, we got a busy night, so we might as well just jump right into it.
So, beer news. Yeah. We're actually going to start off with a story in my neck of the woods. It's a relatively new one, actually. So, Leinie's is dropping the native maiden logo that we've all become accustomed to on their branding and their the big barn that they have at the brewery. It's on there. It's everywhere, and they're taking it away. It's going by. And it wasn't even because somebody asked them to. They're doing it without any, seemingly, anyway, from what we know, without anybody prompting them to do
it. Yeah. So this is kind of a big one to me. Obviously it happened this summer in the context of everything that's going on. So, a little backstory. Leinenkugel was founded in 1867. The original brewery is located in Chippewa Falls, and it's been owned by Molson Coors, previously Miller Coors, previously Miller, yada yada yada, since 1988. So it was. I don't know if it's the first, but it's certainly one of the earliest, craft acquisitions by Big Beer, and they announced this move on July 31st. So that was. A little bit of context, that was less than 3 weeks after Washington's NFL franchise ended its nearly century-long use of a blatantly, terribly racist slur against Native people. So, there was movement in this kind of area, and, there have been other Native logos and kind of racist caricatures that have been retired. Uncle Ben's, Land O'Lakes got rid of their kind of a similar, Native imagery on their packaging, or they announced that they were going to begin phasing it out. So for Leinenkugel's, this image, it's a Native woman in profile. Greg, do you have a logo or an image of that so we can see what we're talking about?
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So she's in profile. She's wearing a headdress and a feather, and this was not something that was originally goes back all the way back to Leinie's original history. This is something that was introduced by the brewery shortly after Prohibition ended. This is according to a history of the brewery that was published by the Chippewa Herald for Leinenkugel's 125th anniversary back in 1992. The image was adopted, according to that article, quote, in an effort to reflect the personality of the Chippewa Valley and the outline of the Indian Head geography of northwestern Wisconsin. I guess the outline of the state, you could argue, kind of looks like an Indian head in profile. That's a term that I'm guessing is not long for this woke world, if it's still used at all anymore. And then, in the last question of a fact on the Leinie's website, it mentions that it was changed. That question was changed since the announcement to remove references to the Indian Head geography. So I think there was a recognition that was not a great look for them anymore, and it now mentions that the logo was intended to pay tribute to the Santee Sioux and Ojibwe tribes of Chippewa Falls. So the original image as described in this history is somewhat like it's more sexualized, and this historical piece mentions that it's kind of evolved and become less sexualized over the years. So I think there's kind of some acknowledgement of changing times even in that. Before we got to this point, there's a quote from Bill Leinenkugel in that story. He was back in 1992. He was the retired brewery president. This is a quote. "The face on the label was very appropriate at the time it was designed. I have to comment that the Indian woman's face was kept on the label primarily through the efforts of our distributors, who kept telling us not to change it, not ever. So we never did." Yeah, and the story also mentions that those distributors were, presumably hearing from their, like consumers that they wanted to keep it. So that's kind of the story, and that Leinenkugels hasn't said anything beyond the statement that they put out that was pretty, straightforward and saying we're doing this. I reached out to the Leinenkugels current president, Dick Leinenkugels, still family run, and he declined for now to comment beyond the statement. It sounded like he might change that later on as the packaging starts to be introduced. It's also significant that it's a major rebrand of our kind of satellite big beer. It's a satellite of a big beer operation, but it still has kind of a craft feel, I think, here in Wisconsin. It's certainly a homegrown brand, and it's going to be changing somehow. My guess is that they're going to just lean into kind of the up north kind of outdoors canoe dock jumping kind of vibe that they've been cultivating for. The Indian, the native imagery hasn't been exactly front and center. It's just a logo, but it has a prominent place, just like the Anheuser-Busch crest or the Miller, the Girl in the Moon High Life logo. I think that's kind of the parallel that I'm guessing where this kind of came from. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this. The Landon mentioned this, that there's none of the report. There hasn't been a lot of really deep reporting on this, at least that I've found, and none of it has mentioned any kind of external pressure or discussion, calls for change from any of the native tribes or anybody kind of, at least in public. Who knows what's happening behind the scenes, but so this, at least it appears to be a proactive move in the middle of kind of a awakening to, racial stereotypes and injustice and all this stuff that's happening this summer by, a big corporation, but also a small town brand that has roots there. And obviously, nobody in the Leinenkugel family, as far as I'm aware, has any native ancestry or anything like that. So there's kind of I think those are all kind of important context bits to the discussion here.
Yeah, and I really think, like you had mentioned, the native logo is really kind of taking a backseat to everything else. I think if you were to get rid of that iconic L that everybody knows the Leinenkugels for, the big L, when you see it, even if you just see the L, you already think Leinenkugels because you've seen it on all their labeling, and that's how their last name starts and everything. I think as long as the beer doesn't change and they kind of just keep doing what they're doing, honestly, I don't really think most people are going to care. The only reason that anybody would probably ever care is to push it into politics and what have you. So it's not really, as far as people around here, and not that I've been out and talking to people, because we're not out talking to people. It's anybody that I've talked to, any of the guys in Taproom, nobody cares, and you probably won't even notice it when it goes away, other than the neck on the bottle will look different.
Well, I didn't, keeping it real, I didn't notice it when it was there. So it was news to me when the thing dropped that there was actually an Indian female logo. I'm used to seeing that rowboat canoe. What'd you say, Lynn?
Sorry,
it wasn't me.
That was
No, no, I'm used to seeing. I'm used to the logo. I'm used to the Don't they have a they have a rowboat logo? As Chris alluded to, I'm used to the big L. I don't remember. And I'm not a big Liney's guy, so I haven't. So I can't say I have a lot of them around. All I, I like that they were somewhat proactive, meaning that they were like, hey, we're just going to change it before anybody really, I don't want to say notices, but this logo was so it's so different than the Redskins in the aspect of it wasn't like in front of your face, it's not in your face. It's not a it's not, you don't use it prominently. How about that? So it wasn't one where, again, I don't think a lot of people even, I wouldn't say knew about, but I think it made more headlines when they said we're taking it away than I've ever heard about it before. So I'm giving them the clap for who owns Line Googles again, Chris?
It's the company's now Molson Coors. Miller bought it in 1988, and so it's followed the Miller bouncing to essentially to Miller. My sum up is I like to see it, and we haven't heard much backlash from it, and there really shouldn't be. And again, I'm glad that they're proactive, and I like to see where they're going to go with it. And I really wish they would sell that unfiltered shandy without sweetness in it, but that's another story, Chris, for another time. So you guys can move on. Yeah, I had noticed it, and I had always kind of thought of it as, I guess, kind of a respectful tribute to, it's geographically, the city that it's located in is called Chippewa Falls. And it was a flattering, to me, it was a flattering portrayal. She's pretty. And, I guess but it's not really up to us, as non-native people to decide how Native people should feel about it. This is the conflict that's happening with, Native mascots for colleges and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, if you think you're paying tribute to us, I'm seeing stereotyping and tokenization, and it's up to the culture of the that's being portrayed to decide how they should want to be portrayed, I think. And there's kind of an air of colonialism to this that, whether there was I don't know if there was discussions with Native groups before they changed this, or who reached out to who. I mean, I think all that stuff matters in how you feel about this, but I think there are also some people who are going to see it and say, I think this is fine. What's the problem? And now you're just being, they're going to lump them in with social justice warriors or whatever, which is just, I mean, like, did you really care about that 1 square inch of that label? Did you really care about that before it was changed? My guess is you didn't. I think there's a this has been a kind of a learning process for me too. When I tweeted out this news last month, I said, like, I didn't see this as problematic, but I can understand how somebody would see it as problematic, and if somebody is being offended by this and it's making their life worse, why not change it? Sure. And then I had some discussions with on Twitter who said, this is kind of what I just talked about, basically. So I don't think I don't really care a whole lot about the packaging change. I think it's interesting and it speaks to certainly our times, but for people who are upset about it, I just wonder where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm more upset about the blueberry shandy. So anyway, go on.
I'm more upset.
Okay, I'm gonna stand Grapefruit Shandy right now. That is a good, refreshing, floating in the lake beer.
I just want them to bring their box and their porters and all those things back. That's really all I want.
Do they still have that wonderful, wonderful, one of the best ones I've ever, especially it was one of the first ones I had was an IPL, Indian Pale Lager. Do they still have that? That was amazing.
No.
If it's anywhere, it's just in the lodge.
Yeah, maybe.
And I haven't been, actually, I'm thinking I might go there Friday. But
Lodge is a great place. Cheers to the lodge.
Yeah, cheers to the lodge.
Cheers to the lodge.
All right. We'll let that one simmer for a while. We'll move on.
Yeah,
Greg,
we're just gonna tease the. There you go, the phone number. If you let us know what you think about this.
Yeah, I mean, we really could talk about this a lot longer, and there are a lot of we could dive way further into this. I mean, you guys and I had a further conversation about it, but it would take up probably way more than an hour.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, hit up that Badger Beer Hour hotline. So anyway, Bare Bones Brewing. We all know Bare Bones Brewing of Oshkosh. They're actually going to open up a new tap room. And who would think that anybody would open up a new tap room during these days? But they're going to open up a new place in Menasha.
Yep, this is they're moving into downtown Menasha. It's going to occupy 2 connected buildings that had been a home and garden decor store. This is according to the Appleton Post-Crescent. Thank you for that reporting. Tap room will take up about half the space, and then the rest of it will be for a distillery that's kind of in the next phase. That'll be run by one of the owner's sons and a brother-in-law. So that's kind of how they're dividing it up. Bare Bones, if you had not heard of it, it's relatively small. They opened in 2015, and their original brewery is just west of Oshkosh, just out. I think it's Highway 10 that shoots out of Oshkosh towards central Wisconsin. There, it's not and they're kind of right on the frontage area there, and they will continue to operate that as their main brewery. The new place is just going to be a tap room, not a brewing facility. So, and it's expected to open in October.
Very nice.
Nice.
Moving on. We always hear about breweries, especially during the pandemic, catching a lot of bad breaks, but the Wizard Works is catching a really, really bad break. As a matter of fact, it's a pipe break. Yeah, this one was a tough one. So this brewery, we talked about this one, Wizard Works, in our inaugural show last month, and they had just opened and opened this summer, and a note about the name. This is a Magic themed brewery, and it's in downtown Milwaukee, and they might need to look into having a hex or something on their space, because they're in a basement they're in the basement of a kind of a big office multi-use building in an old one in the 3rd Ward, downtown Milwaukee, and there was a construction crew working outside, and it hit a water main, and that flooded the basement brewery. Now, this is the same space that, if you recall from last month, that was Broken Bat Brewery's taproom and brewery. They moved out earlier this year and opened a new place in Walker's Point, but they had a 2-month shutdown. Wizard Works was closed for about 2 weeks, so. But Broken Bat was closed for about 2 months in 2018. During the summertime, they lost the Summerfest business that is pretty robust, with people parking and walking around down in the 3rd Ward. And that was kind of a similar deal. A steam pipe ruptured and caused severe damage to the tap room. So hopefully all the bad luck, all the bad juju's out of that space now, and Wizard Works can keep making the magic happen. 2021 can't happen soon enough.
Oh man, so many ways.
2020. What a mess. What a mess, man. We wish them the best for sure.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Last story: Raised Grain to lacrosse.
Yes,
Yeah.
Raised Grain. So this Raised Grain is a pretty awesome brewery in Waukesha, and they opened up distribution in La Crosse. I'm not sure exactly what the timing of this is. I think it might be still in coming days, weeks. But they're opening up Western Wisconsin. Raised Grain is a pretty cool brewery founded by two home brewing doctors back in 2015. They were the kind of the leading edge of the big brewery boom in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area, right around that time. Span of about 2 years. Raised Grain just opened a big new production brewery about 2 years ago. That's allowed them to send beer to Madison and kind of fill all the accounts in southeastern Wisconsin that had been asking for their beer. And their specialty is big beers, and they have a couple exceptional IPAs. There's Naked Threesome, which is kind of a juicy take on the style. Also big, it's 7.5, I think, something like that, like pushing imperial territory. And then there's Paradox Red, which is one of my favorites in Wisconsin. Gold medal winner at the 2016 Great American Beer Festival, and it's a Imperial Red IPA that is not to be missed. If you haven't had that one, you should definitely put it on your list. If you like hops, if you don't like hops, skip it and go for something else. But we, at the magazine, at Milwaukee Magazine, where my day job is, we did a beer and cheese issue 2 years ago now, I guess. And we did a beer and cheese pairing for it, and we kind of put together, these artisan cheeses from Wisconsin with Milwaukee beers, and we paired. We kind of had the idea to put Paradox Red with Dunbarton Blue from I think it's from Rowelli, and oh my God, it's like this kind of cheddary, creamy, super funky, really pungent blue cheese kind of cheddar hybrid. Oh God, those two flavors together were just like, oh God, it was so good. So I don't know if you have any Dunbarton Blue, or just go ahead and do it. It's not cheap. None of it's cheap, but it's luxury. It's luxury.
Yeah, I love Raised Grain. I was able to visit there once. It's fantastic. Lynn, did you ever have them?
No.
Soon enough, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Next market north is you.
Yeah.
There we go. Landon, any more news?
That's it, man.
All right, so it's time for the interview.
Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
I wanted to welcome Kevin Wright, brewmaster at Third Space Brewing, to the Badger Beer Hour. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so Kevin's on today to talk about Saturday, which is the Wisconsin IPA Fest at-home edition. Of course, nobody's doing beer festivals anymore, so this, I believe, is it the fourth year?
Yeah, it's the fourth year.
Okay, so 3 previous years it's been in person at Third Space, which is in Milwaukee, in the Menominee Valley. Really cool brewery, really great space, cool, big beer garden and expansive tap room. And this year, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. Do you want to talk about what the IPA Fest is going to look like this year and how you kind of pulled this off?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you said, normally, we do it at the tap room. We invite open invite to every brewery in the state of Wisconsin to send an IPA, and we usually get about 1,200 people coming through the brewery to taste all the beers. Obviously, this year it was not going to work to bring 1,200 people into the brewery. So we came up with the idea of doing a virtual fest. We kind of piggybacked off some other breweries in the area, have taken a couple of their fests virtual over the last couple months. And so we thought that was a way to stay connected with our fans, stay connected with our IPA lovers, keep the continuity of the fest. So this year's fest is all virtual. People who purchased tickets got a mixed 12-pack of IPAs from breweries around the state. So we selected 12 breweries, and they sent us cases of one beer, and we did a mix of all those and made 12 packs. And so people who bought tickets get the 12-pack, and then we'll be hosting a virtual event on Saturday where all the different breweries will have a representative talking about the beer, talking about their brewery, answering questions, and just talking all things hoppy beers.
Nice. So what are the logistics involved in putting building this 12-pack?
It was a lot of hands-on fun labor. We had about 6 people that got together last week Thursday once we got all the beers in-house, and we broke them all apart from the 4-packs that they all came in and put them back into 6-packs and made them all mixed. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It took us less time than I thought.
And what about how does that work with, did the breweries just basically deliver the beer, or was there a pickup, or how did that work?
It was delivered. So like we do every year, we purchase the beer. It's not a donation thing. So we bought the beer either directly through the breweries that self-distribute or through their distributors, the ones that have a distributor. Most of them we talked to ahead of time, and they were going to set aside something special, or a couple of breweries actually brewed a special beer for IPA Fest. So we coordinated with them ahead of time and then set up the delivery. So no, we didn't have to go pick up anything, but
nice.
They delivered it, but we paid for it.
And you Third Space has a beer in here, right? I don't see it on the list there, but the hard thing this year was it was really hard to choose 12. I mean, last year we had, I think, 51 breweries participate, and the year before 40 some. So there's a lot of great breweries. So to pick 12 was hard. And originally we had ourselves in the mix, and then we're like, you know what, let's take ourselves out of the mix, give somebody else a shot. So our beer was available through the VIP ticket. We did a collaboration beer with Lakefront, who was the winner of the very first IPA Fest. We made a special beer for the VIPs, and then we have a somewhat limited edition hazy IPA that we've been coming out with sporadically the last couple of months that was available as an add-on. You can get a 6-pack of that. So if people did the add-on, they could get a 6-pack of the IPA from us, or if they did the VIP, they got the collab. Nice. Is what's happening with the virtual aspect of it? Like, is somebody from each brewery going to talk about the beer and walk, like, tasting through it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we asked everybody to be ready to talk for 5 minutes about the beer that they submitted. Because everybody who bought tickets to this is pretty big hop fans. We asked them to tell a little bit about some of the technical brewing side of it, like what hops did you use, how did you use them, was this different from another recipe or another techniques that you've used, and then my business partner Andy is going to be moderating a discussion via the comments and pulling questions to then ask to the brewery member participants. Nice.
What do you have any? Have you had all these beers yet, or?
Oh, that's the first sip of the first one. I haven't tried any of them yet.
Really?
So this is my first taste of any of the 12 right now.
What do you got? What is it?
I started with this is the Hazy Galaxy from City Lights, our neighbors right down the street. And I figured, why not start with the only brewery in the state of Wisconsin to win a medal for Hazy IPA?
There you go.
So it's really good.
Nice.
Big Galaxy punch, really nice. Juiciness, not overpowering bitterness. This is tasty.
You mentioned kind of drawing on some other breweries that have done this. What were some of the kind of inspirations that you looked to, and were there some things that you saw that were like, yeah, that didn't really work, we don't want to do that, or and obviously some positive things that you saw that you really wanted to incorporate too?
The one that really I think put it in we can do this and make it work is Mobcraft in Milwaukee did their Sour Fest all virtual this year, and they we talked to them about how how they did it, how it went, and they kind of broke it down for us, and we're like, yeah, this is a really good way to do it. It makes a lot of sense. This is something we can translate IPA Fest into. So that was the one. I don't know if we've seen other ones that haven't worked. I know like there's a lot of virtual stuff around GABF this year, and some like remote things around GABF this year. So interested to see how that goes. And there's a couple other ones that are coming up. There's a Lager and Friends Fest. I think that was all virtual. There's another one coming up that I can't think of right now. But yeah, that's where we kind of pick their brain a little bit about what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, and I think like one of the key points of making this really a fest and not just like hanging out with a live stream is actually having the beer and being able to deliver, something that people can drink, while it's all happening. Yeah.
That, I mean, without that, I don't think 400 people are going to tune in to listen to some brewers talk about beers if they're not able to taste them. I think that was one of the things that was attractive for people to participate in the fest, is that they were getting 12 beers that a lot of them people probably haven't had before, and some of them you can't get outside of this fest, and some of them you can't get in our area. So it was, a really cool way for people to get to try some really interesting beers that they wouldn't get to try normally, and they don't have to do the work of chasing them all down. It was, purchase your ticket online and come by our place and pick up the 12-pack already made for you.
I mean, you guys have been doing, everything that brewery does has been kind of rethought and just done to try to stay connected during the pandemic. And there's a social aspect of beer that is just inherent to the thing. And I think you guys have done a really good job with kind of staying connected with some of your online things and connecting with customers. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing with streaming and stuff since the pandemic started?
Yeah, definitely. So right away, the first thing that we did, one of our traditions is every Friday we do, we call it the Brewmaster's Toast. It used to be me every Friday, and now I admit I'm out there every Friday. But we do a toast Friday, 5:45, just kind of a kickoff to the weekend, talk about the fun things that are going on, and then we'd tap a keg, and it'd be dollar beers until the keg ran out on that Friday. So we took that virtual right away the first Friday that everything was shut down. So I was doing Brewmaster's Toast live from my kitchen for, I think it was 12 weeks during the shutdown. So that was the first thing. And then right after that, we started doing some things. Our sales team they put together a little program called Sippin' with Sales, where they'd pick a topic or bring in a bar owner or a chef, and they'd talk through a topic. And we've done other things. We did a virtual beer dinner with our good friends at Shelley's Cuisine in Thiensville, and that was a huge success, really fun. And the same thing where people picked up a meal pack and a beer pack. So it was 4 different beers paired with 4 different courses, and you could eat them on your own time. And then we had a Zoom chat afterwards. People could ask questions about them. So that was really fun. And then Andy's been doing a lot of things kind of leading up to the IPA Fest, where he's been doing one-on-ones with all the different breweries that have entered something, just kind of talking about their beers and, talking about some things that they're doing to, same thing, kind of keep people connected during this time.
Nice. What's the situation at Third Space right now? Is the tap room open? Is what's happening there?
Yeah, we're open. We're back to our regular hours, Wednesday through Sunday. We're still under capacity restrictions. We're working. The city's got some guidelines in order to get to full capacity, but we've also put in place a lot of different safety measures, controls, social distancing, spacing, remote ordering, even from your table, where you can put in an order and then you go show your ID at the bar and it's there waiting for you, and just a lot of different things to try to keep our staff and our customers safe. And most of the people are, enjoying the nice weather right now and being outside in the beer garden. That's been really great that the weather has been, so awesome this summer. People can be outside a lot. So that's been great for us.
Yeah. You have high hopes for Wisconsin IPA Fest 2021 being back to previous thing?
I would love that. I mean, that's the goal I think for everybody. But I have no idea if it's not, we'll do Virtual Fest 2, and maybe we'll get ambitious and do a mixed 24 pack.
Nice. All right. Well, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck on Saturday. Do you have one of the speaking roles in the? You're gonna be talking about your the collab beer with Lakefront?
Yeah. They got me booked for like 2 hours. We're doing a VIP section, and then we're doing the main session. So during the VIP session, we're talking with Russ from Lakefront, and I are talking a little bit about the collab, and then we've got VP of Sales from Hop Steiner, which is one of the largest hop suppliers in the country.
Oh, cool,
and he's going to be doing a really cool presentation talking about hop breeding. The collab beer actually used 2 brand new hops that have just come through their breeding program. So he's going to talk a little bit about how the breeding program works. And then this week is actually the first week of 2020 hop harvest. So he's going to be talking about hop harvest a little bit and give some insight into what that looks like for people who've never seen it, and talk about hop harvest 2020 and how that's going.
That sounds awesome. I mean, I think these virtual events, like we've all been doing, or many of us have been doing, like virtual meetings and all this stuff online, do work stuff and boring stuff online. And I was a presenter at the Lager and Friends Festival, and it's the engagement and the back and forth and the questions that you get. I think these are really good, and it's not having a hop guy at the IPA Fest sounds like a slam dunk. So
yeah, I mean, it's a cool opportunity where, I mean, we could have had him come out and do a presentation at IPA Fest, but it would have been hard to get people in a room and get them to hear it and that. So it's a cool opportunity that you wouldn't have gotten at a normal IPA Fest. So it's a way to add something cool that wouldn't have been done normally.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we should note, it did sell out. I mean,
yeah, we had 400 tickets available. We sold 400 tickets. So yeah,
that's great. And sorry if you missed the boat on that, folks.
Try to find a buddy that has a ticket, because he's got 12 16-ounce cans of beer. He's probably not gonna be able to finish by himself on Saturday. So he's gonna need somebody to help.
People are gonna get hammered. Yeah, that's basically that's a 2 or 3-fer, isn't it? One ticket is admit 3.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining us on the Badger Beer Hour, and good luck with the fest. Don't get too nervous now.
What's that?
Don't get too nervous. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey everybody, out here on the road for the very first time for Badger Beer Hour. I gotta say, it's a little weird being out on the road, but yet comforting at the same time. So I thought I would go to one of the most comfortable places that I could possibly think of, and that's Valkyrie Brewing Company. They've been around since 1994, so 25 years last year. And they're owned by some of the friendliest people that I can ever think of meeting in the craft beer community, and that's Randy and Ann Lee. And chances are 99.9% of the time when you go into Valkyrie Brewing Company, one of them or both of them will be behind the bar to pour you a drink. Now, what makes it so unique? Well, you can see that other than being in Dallas, Wisconsin, population, I think 400, something like that, they have pinball. And all of the profits for pinball go to the local park, which is just kitty corner from the brewery. They have a lot of unique art. Anne actually paints all of the art that you'll see on the walls, and really all of the art that you'll see on the bottles. And it's very, very unique as far as what I've ever seen. Plus, it's cool just to go inside. It's one of those places where you can't not feel at home. It's a little bit off of 53, but really if you're going to Superior or Duluth, or you're coming from Superior or Duluth going south, there's nowhere else to stop. So why wouldn't you stop? Talk to some people, talk to the locals. They're all very nice. Randy and Ann are super nice. All you have to do is just mask up, go in, drink the beer, have a great time. I've been here 20, 30 times since I've lived in Wisconsin, and I've never not felt great about going here. So when you do feel comfortable going out on the road again, there it is, Valkyrie Brewing Company here in Dallas, Wisconsin. One of my personal favorite places to go. I will tell you though, if you're a stickler about beer styles being inside this certain box, this is not the place for that. But they make some great beer. There's some great people, and it's probably one of the greatest times that you'll ever have. And it'll certainly be memorable. I promise you that.
So as once live out here on the road, this is Landon, as Greg would say it, Cherney, reporting. Back to you guys.
So, Landon, how was it? How are they doing the social distancing thing? How's that all going up there?
I mean, it's Dallas. So, as you probably saw on the sign, it's population 409. But believe it or not, I was up there 2 different Fridays because I don't work Fridays during the pandemic, apparently. Yeah. So I was up there and there was a lot of traffic in town, and believe it or not, there were people from out of town. The first time that I was there, I think there was a couple that was just driving through. They must have seen it on their GPS or something that there was a brewery nearby, so they stopped in. Then there was motorcycles that were heading out to Sturgis the last time that I was there. So as far as distancing goes, it really depends on the people. All of the people in Dallas are good about it. They stay away from each other. Obviously, they're not going to be in your business. And the space is pretty big as far as, there's not going to be like 50 people in there at a time. They own the little piece of land next to the brewery. So if it's a nice day, you can just go out there and sit, and Randy does a good job of setting up tables and stuff out there. They're doing the best that they can. They wear masks. I wear a mask when I go in there. It's Dallas.
What about the beer? Do you have a favorite beer of theirs?
I really, and I don't do it because I drive when I go up there, and nobody wants to drive along with me or drive me home. The barley wine is probably is my favorite, but they do yeah, they do make a bracket too, which is one of the only places that I've heard of recently that makes a bracket beer. And I got a bottle of that in the fridge. Yeah,
a bracket beer.
Bracket.
Yeah, it's a honey based. Well, not.
It's almost like a mead.
Yeah,
it almost tastes like a mead. Yeah,
it's barley. It's malted barley based, but it's a significant honey fermentation as well.
Yep.
Big beer. Another big beer.
Nice. So, whenever you can, get up to Dallas. Yeah, right.
But like I said, don't expect anything inside of a box. You're not going to get it.
Okay.
Now, weird beer.
What did you say, Chris? I'm sorry, I ran over you.
Hashtag weird beer.
Yeah. And they embrace it.
Yeah.
Now it's time for a beer spotlight, fellas.
Oh, shoot. So I'm the beer spotlight guy this month, and I was really digging the. We got one there. Potosi Oktoberfest is the spotlight beer of the month. It is August. So Potosi is the oldest brewery in the state. It has not operated continuously since it was founded in 1852 in its tiny southwestern Wisconsin town on the Mississippi River, called Potosi. But it was rebooted in its current craft brewery form in 2007. And it's also, as the label so clearly notes, does it? Maybe it doesn't say that anymore. I don't know. It says it somewhere. It is a nonprofit, and all revenues all profits from the brewery support a really cool brewery museum that's next door to the current brewery. And as well, also a local community foundation that does lots of cool stuff around Potosi and in kind of the general area. So obviously, Oktoberfest is a style that's one of the best. I believe it's the best-selling seasonal in the United States. And in the U.S., Oktoberfest beers come in kind of a whole spectrum. You have some that are closer to the kind of Märzen and Fest beer styles of Germany, and others that kind of take that concept and push it a little bit more toward malt forwardness and a little bit sweeter, and are a little bit sweeter. And Potosi's entry, I would say, is a little on the kind of on that American side of the style. There's some bready caramel malt sweetness, and a little bit of a noble hop bite that kind of brings it back into balance. Certainly not cloying, at least not to my palate. Your mileage may vary, but some of these lighter fest beers or Oktoberfest beers, to me, the one in Wisconsin that kind of bears that standard is Octillion from Ale Asylum. I really like that beer. It's a lot lighter in color than a lot of the other Wisconsin Oktoberfests, and the balance, it's a little bit lighter in body too. But it still hits those kind of bready caramel notes that you expect from that style. Really enjoyable. And I think this is probably one of the strongest styles for Wisconsin brewers across the board. There's not a lot of bad ones out there, and there's a lot of really good ones. I don't think there are many that kind of distinguish themselves as like super amazing. Staghorn from New Glarus is probably the top of that, but they're all a little bit different, and depending on whether you want them a little bit drier or a little bit more malt forward or a little bit more with a little bit more hop bite, there's something out there for all those. So Potosi's Oktoberfest is, I would say, kind of on the middle sweet side of things, but certainly cleans up nicely, and it's super drinkable. Medium body, 5.5% ABV. So, some of these push some of the kind of more, the more American ones push 6% with their ABV. This is down there in that easy tailgate kind of territory, which is, tailgating. Remember tailgating? Like that was the thing that was kind of the thing that always makes me think of October. That setting is where I think football tailgating and Oktoberfest beers to me just go together really well. Particularly the kind of early in the season stuff where, maybe it's just starting to get crisp and but you still have those warm sunny days. I don't know. I'm kind of getting the feels here for fall. That's not going to be the same this year, but obviously Oktoberfest as well as pumpkin beers, those, here we are in mid to late October, and these things have been around for 2-3 weeks sometimes. And some people get really mad about seasonal beer creep. And, Oktoberfest, people think October, even though Oktoberfest is in September. But, is this, what do you guys think about August Oktoberfest, July even Oktoberfest? I know Southern Tier's Pumpkin comes out in it's mid-July or something, and everybody wigs out because a lot of people hate that beer anyway. But, what do you guys think about beer, August Oktoberfest generally?
I embrace it.
Going to bat.
I embrace it only because it's a seasonal beer and it's not around for very long. I mean, when you think about, unless you're really hammering, beers every day, it's just not, it's not something that's around for very long, and you like to try a bunch of them, especially when you think that you remember what they tasted like last year. Whether or not you can remember what the taste is from year to year is, but as far as when the pumpkin beer comes out, I get really excited. The Oktoberfest I like to make fun of, even though I'm actually drinking it in July. So I mean, I'll make fun of it, but I'll actually drink it just the same, and I'll drink it all the way through.
Whoa, wait. You're one of the few people I've ever heard Landon say that, quote, I get excited for the pumpkin beers.
Man, do you see what I'm drinking tonight?
Oh my God. On the Badger Beer Hour. Look at that.
You're right, right, Chris. No, so Landon, are you the well, in a coffee way, you're the pumpkin spice guy, meaning you're waiting for that pumpkin spice to come out, not because you know how those pumpkin spice people come out for Starbucks.
Oh,
they wait for it. They know when it is. They're in line early, so you're that guy as far as beer goes.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I really do wish that more Wisconsin breweries made pumpkin beer, because I would love to try all of them. But most pumpkin beers are not meh. I mean, when you think about it, how often do you? I mean, I stockpile. I'm no kidding. I stockpile pumpkin beer because I won't be able to find it when it January. It's cold out. You're feeling Maybe I'd like a pumpkin beer.
Okay, but all right.
Go, Chris. No, go. You go, Chris.
All right. Like, I mean, that's. I believe. Okay, my personal belief is people should drink whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah.
And I used to really get bent out of shape about this. Like, it's too soon for this. It's hot. I don't want to drink a pumpkin spice beer when it's hot. And then I'm like, well, but if you like it, like my dad is a great example. He loves Oktoberfest beers, and he as soon as they are out, he will buy them and buy them and buy them and buy them. And then when they're gone, he'll have a 24 pack of Leinie's Oktoberfest in the fridge, and to kind of tide him over for the rest, as he stretches it as long as he can, like you. But you're also saying that in January you really feel like a pumpkin beer because it's cold and it's like hearty and you want to be warmed by the beer.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Isn't that kind of
especially the bourbon barrel aged ones. I saved those for a while, but no, I mean, when you think pumpkin, you think Thanksgiving, right? And where I grew up, I spent a lot of Thanksgivings in the snow. So I spent a lot of Thanksgivings where it was cold, and I can't ever recall a Thanksgiving that I've had that I didn't have pumpkin pie. And I love pumpkin pie. And I hardly ever get it. So if I can get it in liquid form,
you're stealing my thunder.
I have it in liquid form.
You stole my thunder. I think my problem with pumpkin beers is that they come out too early and they end too quick. I actually rather them come out a little bit later and end in like December. And the reason is what you're saying. A pumpkin beer is best. Like at Thanksgiving, like that is the best pairing ever. Actually, am I wrong? I got Landon. I know you agree.
Yeah.
Baron over there is not digging it, but
no,
I'll let him get back in there.
It's
but
true.
No, I think the seasonal creep I wish would go further with both of these. Working at the Parched Eagle Brew Pub, got to drop that name. I found, and Jim and I is a brewmaster there, or Jim's a brewmaster. I'm not. He is. Sorry, Jim's a brewmaster there. Him and I found that once October was literally over, he couldn't. I mean, he could sell his Oktoberfest, but it was just less. Like once November hits, it's like people like Oktoberfest. That's October. I'm done. And it's like, no, man, because I think I like October. So we're talking about two different things here. Pumpkin beers, in my opinion. Sorry, Landon. Start too early, end too early. Oktoberfest beers, in my opinion, they start at the right time. I love when they start in August. I think they're really, really great. Summer beer. They're underrated summer beer. Yes, they're not, yes, they're a little bit bready and a little bit heavy for the fall, and you're supposed to warm up with them. But there's still a little bit of that, like, what I mean, in August, like that wanting it to be fall, like, and grasping that wonderful breadiness that it is. So I think Oktoberfest starts right, and I think it should go further. That's where I'm at with the old seasonal creep. Baron, it looks like you're ready to get back in here.
I got something here. I mean, the reason that brewers do this is exactly what you took. I mean, one of the things, the end factor is definitely one of the reasons why brewers start earlier. Because like and I think Oktoberfest have it to some degree, but I mean, like if you get into like pumpkin beers and holiday beers, like anything with Christmas or holiday on the label, if on December 27th, that thing is not any stock that you got on hand, it's going to close out. You're going to sell it for $3 a 6-pack because there's nothing else. You're not going to be able to sell it. And then the kind of the flip of it on the front end is these styles that are seasonal, particularly these that are repeatable and come back every year. They have big fan bases that are waiting for these beers. So if you're the first Oktoberfest on the shelf and somebody who's not brand loyal, which is just about everybody these days, sees an Oktoberfest and they've been waiting for it, they're going to buy it, and they're going to buy it, and then you'll continue that regular. You'll continue to once you're competing with other Oktoberfests, the regular sales will happen. Everything's still happening, but I mean, especially with pumpkin beers, there's not as many of those as there were 3 or 4 years ago. So as soon as they come out, people are snapping them up.
Yep. So, I don't know. Beer Days says Central Waters is one of the few pumpkin spice beers, and barrel aged. What's
Headless Heron? Yeah,
Headless Heron is barrel aged.
Headless Heron is essentially their Scotch ale, their barrel aged Scotch ale with, and I think it's aged in the barrels with the pumpkin spice stuff and it's good. It's that was probably my favorite. That's definitely my favorite Wisconsin pumpkin beer.
Do they still make it?
Lakefront's got a great Imperial brandy barrel aged one too. That one's really nice. But I think I don't know. It's not really my style, so I'm not gonna talk too much about it.
No, and I mentioned Jim before. Jim from Parks Eagle. When I was an intern there, him and I liked. We always spoke about how we like the bigger pumpkins. So we like the barrel aged pumpkins, and we like those. We kind of didn't like the the blonde pumpkins or the brown pumpkins. Pumpkins are really interesting because you can there's many styles that they could just be thrown into. And look at Landon over there, like yeah. Pumpkins that way or not, Chris?
What? Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's a reason pumpkin kind of became the standard bearer for pumpkin beer across the country. And that's because it's big, it's intense with the spices, it's not too subtle. I mean, I think people buy pumpkin beers because of the spices, not because of the pumpkin. But they kind of already
probably
there's not really a whole lot of character there on its own. So
real quick, Beer Days has a question and we gotta move on. You guys you've had vintages, Chris?
Don't think I have.
I don't remember it. I probably did. I've had most of vintages, but I don't remember it offhand.
Yeah. That's a style that I would definitely trust in their hands. I mean,
absolutely. So we have a beer PSA, fellas. We're gonna get to that right now.
Hey, Greg and Chris. This is Fred Swanson. I'm here with my buddy Mark Garthwaite, and this is episode 2 of your new show. We are a little bit butthurt about the fact that we didn't either make episode 1 or the Friends and Family pre-episode, but be that as it may, we can definitely shed some light on what's going on with the Great Taste and our current cup sale / giving committee refunding of the budget. So, Mark, we just got done with our big aluminum cup sale with the new logo for the backyard edition of the Great Taste. And I'm here to say we raised how much money to refill the coffers?
In excess of $30,000, which was the entire charitable giving budget that the Great Taste typically funds. So a lot of Great Taste fans came through for us, which is very humbling for us. It's important to us to make sure that we're able to continue to fund those community organizations that depend on us every year. particularly in a year where we just couldn't all gather together. So
Absolutely. So what that really means for people that aren't clear is that every year the Great Taste budgets $30,000 for local charities and local nonprofit organizations that by and large exist underneath the umbrella of social justice issues. All of them are local, and we did not have a funding mechanism for them, given the fact that the Great Taste 2020 did not happen. But instead of just saying, let's try again next year, we charged ourselves with thinking outside the box, and what we did was come up with an aluminum glass pint sale, which then raised in excess of $30,000. Mark, we are committed to at least trying to fund and figure out another way to get people off the waiting list for those cups.
we had a lot more interest once people started posting pictures. We somehow miraculously, even with the U.S. Postal Service being a little challenged right now, we managed to get nearly all of those stainless steel cups in people's hands on the second Saturday in August, or even before. Some of them shipped even less than 24 hours. And once a lot of those pictures started showing up on social media, well, then a lot of more interest was generated in these cups. So we're optimistic that we can hopefully come through with an additional accommodation for those who missed out on the original opportunity, and we'll come through for you, I hope.
So that's kind of the recap on the glassware project for the Backyard Edition. Mark, let's get to kind of what we're thinking as far as Great Taste 2021. Suffice it to say that we don't know. We're not at all clear, but we are committed to living in those really challenging and it's sometimes uncomfortable conversations about where do we go from here? How do we then become another industry leader under the new world order and start a beer festival going forward? Mark, what are your thoughts on what we may or may not be thinking about as far as next year?
I think what we'll probably be doing is what we do every year, take some time off in the off season, think about what, usually we're thinking about what went well and what didn't go well the previous year. We don't have to worry about that as much. But really, it's just a matter of time. There's no predictions that are worth making right now because we just don't know. So it'll probably be springtime when we get the band back together and try to figure out what the picture looks like going forward.
Right now, I think we can say this. We can say that we are committed to looking and overturning any rock and getting every single idea onto the table and working through each and every one of those. There are two very clear situations that are at play conversationally when it comes to a beer festival. One is the operationalizing of said festival. How do you take 10,000 people and pass glasses back and forth? How does that happen? How do we make that work? Does that work? Do things need to change? So there's that issue. That is one very clear silo that we have to live in and work through. The other is the fact that people's behaviors are changing. I think what we thought we knew in 2019 might not be what we do and or know or how we behave in 2021. So stay tuned. We will honor the history of the Great Taste. We will honor the art and the people that create the beers that come to Madison on the second Saturday in August. We will do our level best to have those conversations, and we will keep you posted as we go. Mark?
Cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers to you.
And cheers to everyone that helped make us
guys.
At least keep the Great Taste spirit alive. We'll do it again somehow.
Greg and Chris, take care, and we're happy to help you out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yay!
Probably like 9 minutes or something.
Couple of great human beings right there.
Yes, absolutely. And I have to say that was filmed at the wonderful, fantastic, one of my favorite places to drink, the Mall House on East Washington and Madison, Wisconsin. Fantastic place, fantastic people. Anything quick on the Great Taste?
I mean, I think what I heard there was that they did not commit to, I mean, I've asked the same question of Kevin, and IPA Fest normally happens, I think, the weekend before Great Taste. And they didn't, it was pretty clear that they weren't, that they're going to react to how things are looking and what the situation is. that's exactly what they did this year in canceling the festival, and not to be lost on what happened here was that they still managed to do for charity what they always do every year. They normally they raise around $30,000 for stuff like community centers and the local public radio station, and stuff like that are really key contributors to the community in Madison. And it's great that they were able to do that without. I mean, it's just a really good idea, and there's so many good people in beer that want to make this stuff happen, and the Great Taste has an enormous amount of goodwill among the beer community. So it's great to see it happen.
Cheers, man! Cheers to them.
Yeah.
Cheers to the whole thing. And fellas, we have wrapped up our second episode. Thank you.
An hour goes by fast.
It does.
Yes. So you guys, everybody should visit us on. You can find us at beerbadgerhour.com. That takes you right to our YouTube page where our videos hold. You can email us at badgerbeerhour. You need to follow the Beer Baron on Twitter. Most of you guys do. You can call us and text us. We got our first text, so we will feature that next week.
Ooh.
Or I'm sorry, next month.
Maybe.
Yeah, next month.
Unless they're bad.
Sorry, I was trying. I was trying to get us in next week. Please subscribe.
We're
To
not going to put that on.
yeah, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will have things. We'll have some things during the month, but this is our main gig, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday or next month, the third Wednesday. Right? Did I get that right?
Right on.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next month. Cheers.
See you guys.